Afghanistan. Nestled in the heart of Asia, Afghanistan is a landlocked country. It is surrounded by 6 countries including Pakistan, Iran, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, and China. This strategic position has made it a focal point for various historical events and movements. It's been at the center of different civilizations for a long time. The remnants of these ancient civilizations can still be seen in the ruins and historical sites scattered across the country. Its location, where Central and South Asia meet, has made it a desirable place for empires throughout history. From the Persian Empire to the Mongols, many have sought to control this land. From ancient Silk Road traders to modern superpowers, Afghanistan has seen power change hands many times, leaving a permanent mark on its people, culture, and future. The influence of these various powers is evident in the diverse cultural heritage of the country. The famous Silk Road, a network of old trade routes across Asia, passed through Afghanistan, connecting east and west. This made Afghanistan a hub for trade and cultural exchange. They traded goods, shared cultures, and exchanged knowledge. This exchange enriched the local culture and brought new ideas and technologies to the region. This important location has shaped Afghanistan's history, making it a mix of cultures and a place where empires fought. The legacy of these conquests and cultural exchanges is still visible in the vibrant traditions and diverse heritage of Afghanistan today. Long before modern countries existed, the land we now call Afghanistan was home to many powerful empires. From the Achaemenid Persians to the Greco-Bactrian kingdom, Afghanistan has been a place where cultures mixed and empires battled. The Persian Empire, under rulers like Cyrus the Great and Darius I, brought a well-organized government, thriving art and culture, and the Zoroastrian religion. These things had a lasting impact on Afghan society. Alexander the Great's arrival in the 300s BCE was a turning point, leading to the Hellenistic world. Afghanistan's location at the crossroads of Asia has made it a mix of cultures and ethnicities. This diversity is seen in Afghanistan's languages, religions, customs, and traditions, creating a rich and complex society. The Pashtuns, the largest ethnic group, are known for their strong tribal traditions, and Pashtunwali, a code of honor and hospitality. The Tajiks, the second largest group, come from ancient Persian-speaking people and have played an important role in Afghan politics and culture. The rugged mountains of Afghanistan hold the earliest stories of human history. Archaeological evidence shows people living there tens of thousands of years ago, during the Middle Paleolithic era. Over time, these early people changed from nomadic hunter-gatherers to settled farmers. Fertile valleys watered by rivers like the Amu Darya and Helmand provided good land for growing crops and building permanent settlements. As empires rose and fell, a new religion began in ancient Afghanistan, changing the region's religious landscape forever. Zoroastrianism, founded by the prophet Zoroaster, likely born in what is now Afghanistan around the 6th century BCE, was very different from the polytheistic beliefs of the time. Zoroaster taught about one god, Ahura Mazda, who represented truth, light, and goodness. Zoroastrian fire temples became centers of worship and community, their flames symbolizing the divine spark in everything. Alexander the Great's arrival in the 4th century BCE was a turning point for Afghanistan, starting an era of cultural mixing. The Greco-Bactrians, descendants of Alexander's soldiers, created a powerful kingdom across northern Afghanistan and parts of Central Asia. They adopted Greek language, philosophy, and art, building cities with Greek theaters, gyms, and libraries. After the Greco-Bactrian kingdom, the Kushan Empire rose to power in Afghanistan. Under the Kushans, Afghanistan was again the center of a thriving empire, important in spreading Buddhism along the Silk Road. The Kushan emperors, especially Kanishka the Great, embraced Buddhism, supporting Buddhist monasteries and creating beautiful Buddhist art. As the old empires faded, a new force came from the Arabian Peninsula that would change Afghanistan's religion and culture: Islam. In the 7th century CE, Arab armies sharing the teachings of Prophet Muhammad brought a new faith that would change Afghan history forever. Islam didn't arrive suddenly, but gradually through cultural exchange, military actions, and peaceful conversions. Islam's message of one God, social justice, and equality appealed to many, especially the lower classes. From what is now Afghanistan, a new power arose, following Islam and building an empire across Central and South Asia, the Ghaznavid Empire. Founded by Sebuktigin in the late 10th century CE, the Ghaznavids of Turkic origin made Ghazni their capital, turning it into a center of Islamic learning, culture, and military power. Under Mahmud of Ghazni, the empire reached its peak, expanding its territory and gaining great wealth. As the Ghaznavid Empire weakened, a new power, the Ghurid Empire, emerged from the mountains of central Afghanistan. The Ghurids, at first serving the Ghaznavids, became powerful in the 12th century CE, eventually surpassing them and ruling a large area. They were skilled in both military strategy and politics. Ghurid rulers like Mu'izz ad-Din Muhammad combined military campaigns with diplomacy, making alliances and strengthening their power through strategic marriages and political deals. Islam brought a new era of learning to Afghanistan, as the region embraced the faith's focus on knowledge and scholarship. Mosques became centers of intellectual discussion, attracting scholars from all over the Islamic world. Islamic rulers, especially the Ghaznavids and Ghurids, supported learning, making Afghanistan a center of Islamic scholarship. The Ghaznavid court, under rulers like Mahmud of Ghazni, attracted poets, scholars, and scientists. Al-Biruni, a scholar whose work included astronomy, mathematics, geography, and history, was one of the brilliant minds at his court. The 13th century brought huge changes to Afghanistan as Genghis Khan's Mongol armies invaded. The Mongol invasion ended the Islamic empires that had thrived in Afghanistan for centuries, beginning Mongol rule. Led by Genghis Khan, they built a vast empire from the Pacific Ocean to Eastern Europe. The Mongol conquest of Afghanistan, though devastating at first, didn't destroy the region's culture and intellect. As the initial shock wore off, a slow rebuilding process started, and communities rose from the ashes. The Mongol rulers, seeing the importance of stability, started to govern more practically. After the Mongol conquests, a new leader arose, Timur, also known as Tamerlane. A brilliant military strategist and supporter of the arts, Timur built a vast empire and a dynasty that brought a golden age of art, architecture, and learning to Herat. Claiming to be a descendant of Genghis Khan, Timur led many conquests, uniting the divided Mongol territories. When Timur's empire fell apart in the 15th century, Afghanistan became divided and unstable. During this time, new social and political changes occurred that would shape Afghanistan's future. The Pashtuns, especially the Durrani Confederation, became powerful in the 18th century. Their location gave them both economic and political advantages. In the turbulent 18th century, a charismatic leader, Ahmad Shah Durrani, emerged from the Durrani Confederation. Born in 1722 in Herat, Ahmad Shah rose through the Durrani military, showing great leadership. He started his rise to power serving the Persian ruler Nader Shah Afshar. Ahmad Shah's rule was a turning point in Afghan history, bringing unity, stability, and a cultural revival. He created the Durrani Empire, the last great empire to come from Afghanistan, and laid the foundation for the modern Afghan state. He is remembered as a national hero and the father of the nation. His empire was huge, making it hard to govern and administer. Section 4. Challenges and Consolidation, Securing the Kingdom. Ahmad Shah's Durrani Empire faced many problems. From the moment he established his rule, he had to deal with numerous challenges that threatened the stability of his kingdom. Internal rivalries, threats from outside, and the difficulty of governing such a large and diverse empire tested the new Afghan state. The vastness of the empire made communication and control difficult, leading to governance issues. Ahmad Shah's biggest challenge was consolidating his power and keeping the various Afghan tribes united. The tribal leaders had their own interests and often resisted central authority. The tribal system, while a source of strength, also caused divisions and power struggles. Tribal alliances were fragile and could shift quickly, leading to conflicts and instability. Ahmad Shah used diplomacy, alliances, and sometimes force to keep a balance of power among the tribes, ensuring their loyalty. He had to be a shrewd negotiator and a strong leader to maintain unity. Threats from outside were also a big problem. The Durrani Empire was surrounded by powerful neighbors who were eager to expand their own territories. The Durrani Empire, located between Central and South Asia, attracted rival powers, like the Persian Empire and the growing Sikh Empire. These empires saw the Durrani Empire as a threat and a prize. Ahmad Shah was constantly fighting to defend his borders. His military campaigns were crucial in maintaining the integrity of his empire and repelling invasions. Section 1. The Great Game begins. A pawn on the chessboard. In the 19th century, Afghanistan was caught between Great Britain and Tsarist Russia. This struggle, called the Great Game, turned Afghanistan into a buffer state, a pawn in their rivalry. Great Britain, with its colonies in India, saw Afghanistan as protection against Russia's expansion in Central Asia. The British worried that Russia, gaining influence in Persia and wanting a warm water port in the Indian Ocean, might threaten British India. Section 2. Anglo-Afghan Wars, Clashes of Empires. The Anglo-Afghan Wars, a series of bloody fights in the 19th and early 20th centuries, show how strongly Afghans resisted foreign rule and wanted independence. These wars, fought over control, influence, and the threat of Russia, shaped Anglo-Afghan relations and Afghan history. The First Anglo-Afghan War, 1839 to 1842, started because Britain feared Russian influence, ended badly for the British. They tried to put a pro-British ruler in Kabul, invading Afghanistan and removing Amir Dost Muhammad Khan. But this caused an uprising led by Afghan tribal leaders who saw the British as a threat to their freedom and Islam. Section 3. The Price of Independence, a nation forged in fire. The Anglo-Afghan Wars, though costly and inconclusive, strongly shaped Afghan national identity. Resisting invasion, sacrifices for independence, and memories of battles created a sense of unity among the tribes. The wars also showed how important Afghanistan was to powerful countries, making Afghan rulers determined to stay independent. Abdur Rahman Khan, who became Amir after the Second Anglo-Afghan War, modernized and centralized the country, strengthening the army, controlling the tribes, and asserting Afghan independence. Section 1. A King's Vision, Modernization and Reform. In the mid-20th century, Afghanistan changed a lot as it moved beyond the Great Game and modernized under King Zahir Shah. Zahir Shah, who became king in 1933, inherited a country dealing with poverty, illiteracy, and a lack of infrastructure. He started reforms to modernize Afghan society. One of his biggest achievements was the 1964 Constitution, which changed Afghanistan from an absolute monarchy to a constitutional monarchy. It guaranteed basic rights like freedom of speech, assembly, and religion, and created a more democratic government. For the first time, women could vote and participate in politics. Zahir Shah's relatively stable rule ended in 1973 when his cousin, Muhammad Daoud Khan, overthrew him. Daoud Khan, a charismatic but controlling leader, abolished the monarchy, made Afghanistan a republic, and became president. He promised faster modernization and less reliance on foreign powers, but his rule was short and troubled. His attempts to gain power and his crackdown on opponents made him unpopular, and his reforms failed to gain support. The country became divided, with different groups fighting for power. From jihad to emirate, the rise and fall of Taliban rule. The Soviet invasion of Afghanistan was a disaster. It caused a decade of brutal war, a huge refugee crisis, and left the country in ruins. The Afghan people fought a guerrilla war against the Soviets and their Afghan allies. The Afghan resistance, the Mujahideen, was a diverse group united by their opposition to the Soviets and their Islamic faith. They were supported by the United States, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, and other countries. Fighting from the mountains, the Mujahideen inflicted heavy losses on the Soviets. A republic's promise, a conflict's enduring grip. The journey of Afghanistan from a war-torn nation to a hopeful republic has been fraught with challenges and setbacks. The promise of a new beginning was seen in the faces of Afghan men and women casting their ballots in the first post-Taliban elections. The Taliban were initially welcomed by some for restoring order in a chaotic nation, but they were soon condemned for their severe human rights abuses, their support for international terrorists, and their destruction of Afghan cultural heritage, such as the ancient Bamiyan Buddhas. The Taliban's unwavering support of Osama bin Laden and his al-Qaeda network, who orchestrated the devastating attacks on the United States on September 11, 2001, led to their international isolation and eventual downfall. In the aftermath of 9/11, the United States, backed by its allies, launched a military campaign against Afghanistan, targeting al-Qaeda operatives and the Taliban regime that harbored them. The swift military action led to the removal of the Taliban from power. The Taliban were quickly defeated, and the cities of Afghanistan began to see a new dawn, free from the oppressive rule of the Taliban. In December 2001, Afghan leaders, along with international representatives, convened in Bonn, Germany, to lay the groundwork for a new Afghan government, aiming to bring stability and peace to the war-ravaged nation. The Bonn Agreement was a significant milestone, creating a detailed roadmap for establishing a new government and deploying an international security force to help stabilize the country and support the nascent Afghan administration in its early days. A land scarred, a spirit unbroken. Afghanistan's long and difficult history has shaped its land and people. From empires rising and falling to clashing ideologies, Afghanistan has seen conquest, resistance, and resilience. Its past is seen in its ancient ruins, diverse cultures, and the spirit of its people. The mountains that define Afghanistan, once barriers to invaders, have also sheltered people seeking refuge. The Afghan people are independent, loyal to their tribes and traditions, and determined to defend their homeland. At crossroads, once more. Afghanistan is at a crossroads again, facing an uncertain future. The Taliban's return to power ended America's longest war, but raises questions about the country's future, its relationship with the world, and the fate of its people. The international community is cautious, withholding recognition and giving aid through organizations. The Taliban have promised to govern moderately, uphold women's rights within Islamic law, and prevent terrorism.